G'day guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to go through a step-by-step process of repair using aerosol cans rather than a spray gun. A lot of you guys don't have the facilities at home to spray with a spray gun, or you may not even really need it, you know, if it's only a small job such as this one here. As you can see, it's only a small dent. It's not very deep at all. I'll knock that out a bit and apply a bit of filler, but I'll go through the stages of all that to make sure that you guys understand it. But what we'll be doing is using a 2K product from Motorspray. It's an epoxy primer, so we'll be going through how to use this product and the best way to apply it, and then we'll finish off after the top coat, the colour, has been applied, and we'll finish it off with a 2K clear product, which is a polyurethane 2K clear. Now the advantage with these products here is, unlike other 2K products that are in a can, where you have to crack the base in order to catalyse the product inside the can. With this particular product, it's not catalysed until it actually leaves the can. Once it's exposed to the environment, the humidity in the air, it starts to set. It starts to become a proper 2-pack, as you would use out of a spray gun, where you mix the two together and it catalyses. So this will be a step-by-step process. So I'll go through the sanding, the filler work, the priming, the guide coating, and hopefully everyone will be able to pick up a can from the store and be able to do their own repair. Thanks for joining me. Okay, well, the dent's been knocked out a bit, so I'll just show you how it's come out. It's come out reasonably well, so we're not going to need too much filler in that, but we'll go through the filler process anyway and make sure you guys know how to apply it. But before I do that, I'm going to sand that area down with probably a bit of 120 grit, and then basically apply a coat of the epoxy. Now some people will say, why the epoxy before the paint, before the actual filler? Well, sometimes filler doesn't stick to all types of metal, especially on the new cars. You have to remove a lot of the zinc coating that they apply to the new cars these days, and not all fillers will stick to this type of coating. So we'll just remove all that, or just basically just rough up the paint surface, apply the epoxy, and then the filler will stick to the epoxy. Filler loves epoxy primer, and that's they both work well together. One protects the other. So the filler will protect the epoxy primer will protect the surface from any rusting or corrosion down the track, and also the filler will stick to it very well. And if there's any rub throughs, you've always got that protection underneath with the epoxy. All right, I didn't have any 120, but I think because the surface is fairly good, I'm just going to use a bit of 180 just to take the paint off a little bit. This will be a little bit noisy, so you might find. All right, now we're ready for the primer to go on, and that'll just protect the metal. It'll give it good adhesion, so whatever filler you use, it'll definitely stick to the primer, being an epoxy. Okay, so basically it's a fairly easy repair. What I'll do, there's a little bit of gloss in there, so I'll just give that another little hit. But as you can see, there's a dent there and there's a low spot there, and I'm just removing a lot of the clear coat, just so I've got a good mechanical adhesion for the primer and the filler to stick to. If it's an epoxy primer though, definitely put it down. Yeah, good corrosion protection. So now I'll just go to the next step and apply the filler to it and sand it down. If you've got a cheaper body filler, well then it's advisable to use an epoxy. But if you've got a good quality filler that has good adhesion qualities to aluminium, stainless steel, galvanized, in a lot of cases you don't really need to use the epoxy. It's based on using a cheap, I'm going to do this based on using a cheap filler, but in normal circumstances, if you've got a good quality filler, you don't have to go to this stage. But it's always best to put an epoxy down. It really gives you that better protection down the track, so there's no delamination, and that filler you know is going to hang on because it loves epoxy. Okay, one of the next steps I recommend that everybody gets in the habit of doing before applying any kind of paint is to first of all wax and grease the surface. Reason for that is there might be polishes and waxes that have been on the car beforehand, and they're probably still on there. So you want to remove those impurities, get rid of all the waxes that's on the car, on the panel. Just give it a good wipe down, and that'll give that surface that paint a nice clean surface to stick on. I normally wipe on and then just basically wipe off with a clean rag, and that's ready to go now. So, and I'm just going to go on with the epoxy primer. Now this primer, as I said, is a 2-pack epoxy, so you need to shake the crap out of it because otherwise you won't get the full benefits of it. So really give it a good shake, make sure everything's fully mixed inside, and then we can go ahead and apply a coat. Now this is only going to be, it's not a filling coat, it's basically going to be an adhesion coat for the actual filler to stick to. So you don't have to go crazy and put a lot on it. This is mainly like an adhesion promoter for your filler. Okay, so here we go. Make sure it's spraying all right. So it's just a good, okay. There you go, that's all you really need to do. Now I'll let that dry, and then I'll go back and apply the filler directly to that. Okay, now I've mixed the filler. Make sure when you're mixing filler you don't use cardboard, you use something that's not porous, because otherwise you have a tendency to dry out the filler as it pulls all the resins out of it. Now this is ready to go now. I'm just going to apply a little bit here over the dent. Simple as that. And a little bit over this dent here. And that's all we really need. I'll just make sure I've got plenty on here. And there you have it. Now let that filler dry for approximately, I think it's about 15 minutes, and it'll be ready for sanding. But what I want to do is, before I sand this, I want to actually apply a guide coat to it, and that guide coat will help me find where, instead of continuously sanding, it'll show me where the low spots are and the high spots are, and I don't continue sanding, so I don't sand through the actual repair, then have to start again. So give that about 15 minutes. Now this epoxy primer, it doesn't take that long to dry, but you can apply your filler onto it pretty soon after application, probably 20 minutes or so. Just apply it, let it dry, or you can do all your repairs, apply it to all your repairs, and then just move on to your next repair after you've applied that, and then come back and apply your 2K epoxy primer. Okay, now we've got the filler on. It's had time to dry, and it's ready for sanding. So what I'm going to do first is apply the guide coat on it. This is, it's not black paint, it's not matte black or gloss black or any paint that you pick up out of your workshop and apply to your filler and use it for guide coat. This product, it goes on like a paint, but it actually dries like a powder. So that when you're finished and you're ready to clean up like we cleaned up earlier, before we're applying the epoxy, you can use a wax and grease to remove any overspray from the guide coat. Now, the good thing about that is you're not going to use a paint, where if you use a paint, it's very difficult to try and remove from the rest of the surface. But with the guide coat being a powder, a liquid powder, it's very simple to just give it a quick wipe off and you're ready to go. So with the guide coat, it's not something that you apply heavy. You just want a haze of the guide coat, just like that. That's all you need. All right, now I'll just show you quickly what that looks like. So that's basically it, just a little haze on it. And you'll see when I start to sand it, and that's dry. That's already dry. So you'll see when I start to sand it, it doesn't clog up the paper. Like if I was to use a paint, the paint would basically just clog up your sandpaper and make it very difficult to sand. Now all these products, the Motor Spray 2K product and the Motor Spray primer and the Motor Spray 2K clear, and all the Motor Spray products that I'll be using, all available at the Autobarn stores. So if you want some, if you want to test it out, by all means go in there and give it a go. It's easy to use, it's simple, it's just taking the hard work out of trying to paint with a 2K that requires cracking the base. And then, I mean, they cost you about 50, 60 bucks, I think, for a can of 2K where you've got to crack the base. And then the problem you have there is you can't put it back on the shelf. You have to use the whole lot up in one hit. Whereas in this case, I can use it and take the can, turn it upside down, depress the nozzle, and I can pop that on the shelf. And 6 months later, 8 months later, depends on whether or not the girlfriend gets a shopping trolley scratch on the car, I can take it off the shelf and repair the car. Yeah, so it's that simple. Now, a friend of mine, like I'm a bit old school, I don't like to normally use sanding tools. I like to use things by hand, and a friend of mine who owns Epoxy blocks has given me the blocks to use, so I'll give him a bit of a plug there. Epoxy's all made in Australia, and these are a Velcro block, and it makes life a little bit easier. Now, as you can see, when I start to sand, now I'm only using 120 grit there, so you'll see there, where that little low spot is. Okay, if you have a look there, you'll see the low spot. Now, where that dent was here, you'll see there, that's the low spot. So the guide coat, when you have a look at it, the guide coat gives you an indication and guides you on where your actual dent is and up here. Okay, so I'll finish sanding this off and then we'll go to the primer stage. But that's how easy it is. So by using a block like this, it makes it a lot easier to do everything by hand. And this filler being a very fine type of filler, I'm only using 120 grit rather than, if I was using a cheaper filler, I might have to use 36 grit or 60 grit, which puts a lot of scratches in the actual filler, and then they're scratches that you have to get out and remove before you can apply your primer, or you'll have to really load up your primer, and you don't want to really do that. Okay, as you can see, this is where the repair was, the little dent there and there. Now, being a very fine filler, I'm not going to have to go to a really heavy grade abrasive. I've hopped from the 120, which I think was probably a bit too coarse for this particular filler, and I've gone to a 240 in preparation for the primer. So now I'm just going to go over that and just pick up any scratches from the 120, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so I'm going to take that 240 out of the block there. I'm just going to go around it. And that'll be pretty much prepped up for the primer to go on. Okay, I've gone a little bit further out because I just want to make sure I cover the whole area. Okay. So there you go. Anyway, now it's ready, and that's part one of the filler repair.